chosen one. This is the moment when the very people who once dismissed you finally swallow the truth. The one they called crazy was the only one seeing clearly. But this was never about proving a point. This was about your gift. You were born with sight others didn't want to acknowledge. Now reality is crashing in, masks are falling, systems are crumbling, and you stand untouched. Not because you were lucky, because you were chosen. You were different from the beginning, not just quirky different, fundamentally, cosmically different. You felt things others didn't feel. You saw patterns others couldn't see. You knew things before manifestation. And this gift, this curse, this power was with you before words existed to describe it. There was a moment when you first realized something was off. You looked around at everyone living programmed lives, and you felt it. That wrongness, that sense that reality was far deeper and stranger than what people pretended it was. While other kids were content with surface-level existence, you were drowning in questions about the nature of everything. You tried to share what you saw. You pointed out the patterns, the contradictions, the invisible structures keeping people trapped. And you were looked at like you were speaking another language, because you were. You were speaking truth in a world fluent in lies. You were seeing clearly in a civilization that chose blindness. Your vision wasn't random. Your sensitivity wasn't accidental. You were activated for a specific purpose. Your soul came here with ancient wisdom encoded in your DNA, memories from beyond this lifetime, knowledge that's been suppressed for generations, and that knowledge was waking up in you, whether you wanted it to or not. The world tried to shut you down. Education systems wanted you to memorize, not question. Social structures wanted you to conform, not challenge. Media wanted you to consume, not think. Every institution was designed to keep you small, distracted, and powerless. But something in you refused to be domesticated. Something wild and true and unbreakable kept rising up. You started warning people about what you saw coming, about toxic individuals hiding behind charm, about systems designed to control, about the collective awakening that was approaching like a freight train. And dismissal wasn't the only response. Active attempts to discredit you happened, because your truth threatened comfortable delusions. Your light exposed shadows people wanted to keep hidden. You were seen as a direct threat, the manipulators, the controllers, the ones operating from pure shadow. Your power was recognized before you fully did, and war was waged against you, not openly, too calculated for that. A silent war was waged, whisper campaigns, gaslighting, systematic destruction of credibility. The label crazy was called louder than anyone else. Your words were twisted, you were isolated, other people were made afraid to believe you. Because if you could be made to doubt yourself, the threat you posed could be neutralized. You know exactly who these people are, the ones who smiled to your face while planting seeds of doubt behind your back. The ones who acted concerned about your well-being while telling others you were unstable. The ones who took your most vulnerable confessions and weaponized them against you. You were studied, your triggers were learned, your wounds were discovered. Then they were pressed on with surgical precision. People were told you were having a breakdown, that you were stressed, that you needed help. Your clarity was framed as confusion, your strength as fragility, your truth as illness. And because it was said with such conviction, with such apparent concern, people believed it. That's the thing about skilled manipulators. Lies are made to sound like compassion. You watched your circle shrink. People thought to be friends started keeping distance. Conversations became awkward. Invitations stopped coming. And when you tried to address it, when you tried to defend yourself, your defensiveness was used as proof of instability. It was a perfect trap. Staying silent meant accepting the narrative. Speaking up meant confirming it. It started working. When enough voices tell you you're delusional, when enough people treat your clearest insights like hallucinations, something inside starts to crack. You began second-guessing every intuition, every knowing, every truth your soul screamed at you. Maybe there's truth to what everyone is saying, you thought. Maybe losing touch with reality is actually happening. The doubt felt like poison spreading through your system. You'd have a powerful intuition about something and immediately question it. You'd see something clearly and then talk yourself out of trusting what you saw. You started running everything through the filter of what would be thought. Would this be called crazy too? Would this confirm the diagnosis being given? You were editing your own perception to fit limited understanding. So you did what was wanted. You silenced yourself. You stopped warning people. You stopped sharing what you saw. You dimmed your light until barely glowing. You wore the mask of normalcy even though it was suffocating you. Every day of that silence was a betrayal of your soul. Every moment of pretending was killing you from the inside. You tried to be what was needed from you, the normal one, the reasonable one, the one who doesn't see too much or feel too deeply or know too much. You attended gatherings and laughed at appropriate times and nodded along with conversations that felt hollow. You participated in their reality while yours screamed from inside a cage. But something else was happening during your darkest period, something you couldn't see yet. While you were being crushed under the weight of silence, while you were fragmenting from denying your truth, the universe was preparing you for something massive. This wasn't punishment. This was initiation. You were being forged, refined, strengthened. Every attack on your credibility was teaching you to trust yourself more than external validation. Every moment of isolation was teaching you to find power in your own company. Every attempt to make you doubt was actually solidifying your unshakable knowing. Breaking you was the intention. Tempering steel was the result, and then the first crack appeared in their narrative. Something small, something you predicted came true. Maybe it was dismissed as coincidence. Maybe it wasn't even noticed, but you noticed. And that tiny confirmation was enough to make you start questioning your silence. What if crazy wasn't the right diagnosis? What if delusion was on the other side? More cracks started appearing. Faster now. The toxic person you warned about revealed true nature. The situation you said would collapse began crumbling. The patterns you identified started playing out exactly as you'd foreseen, and the people who called you delusional were experiencing the first tremors of cognitive dissonance. You felt something shifting inside you. The death grip of self-doubt was loosening. Your voice, which had been strangled into silence, was finding strength again. You started speaking up in small ways, testing the waters, and you discovered something powerful. Truth doesn't need permission. It doesn't require approval. It simply is. And when you speak it, it resonates with reality itself. A collective awakening was building momentum. All over the world, people were starting to question narratives accepted their entire lives. The comfortable illusions were becoming uncomfortable. The matrix was glitching, and you were about to step into your role as a guide for those ready to wake up. If this message awakened something within you, hype this video for other chosen ones who need to hear this. Time kept moving, and with each passing day, each passing week, the gap between what you knew and what was believed was closing. Not because you were changing your truth, because reality was proving it. One undeniable event at a time. The things you spoke about long ago were becoming headline news. The warnings you gave were becoming lived experiences. Your prophecies were manifesting, and the people who called you crazy were experiencing something that couldn't be escaped. Everywhere looked, evidence was seen that you were right. The toxic relationships you warned about, imploding spectacularly. The systems you said were corrupt, exposing themselves daily. The awakening you talked about, undeniably happening in collective consciousness. Think about the specificity of what you knew. You didn't just say something bad would happen. You described the mechanism, the timeline, the players involved. You explained how dysfunction would unfold, what would trigger it, who would be affected, and now it's being watched happen exactly as you laid it out. That level of accuracy isn't coincidence. That's connection to truth others don't have access to. Ignoring it was tried at first. Cognitive dissonance is a powerful drug. The mind will do backflips to avoid admitting it was wrong. But reality is relentless. It doesn't care about pride or comfort. It just keeps being what it is. And what it was showing was that you saw clearly while blindness surrounded you. You can see the processing happening in real time. The moment when denial cracks, when mental gymnastics become too exhausting, when evidence becomes too overwhelming to dismiss. Some get angry, not at the situation, at you, for being right, for making them confront their blindness, for existing as living proof that something crucial was missed. Others go quiet. Talking about you stops entirely, because every word said about you being crazy now reflects back on judgment. Every time you were called delusional, inability to see truth was being advertised. Every moment your vision was mocked, limitations were being revealed. And now this is known, and it's known that you know it. Some started watching you differently. From a distance, yes, because pride is a hell of a prison, but watching, studying, trying to understand how you knew, what you're connected to, why your vision penetrates where theirs stops. Public admission of being wrong isn't ready yet, but privately in the quiet of their own minds, the terrifying possibility is being grappled with that you've been right about everything. And if you were right about things that can now be verified, what about the things you said that haven't manifested yet? What about the deeper warnings, the bigger patterns, the cosmic shifts you described? Those questions are keeping people awake at night, because suspicion is growing that you weren't just right about some things, you were right about all of it. You're stepping into your power now in ways that would have seemed impossible during your dark period. The confidence rising in you isn't arrogance, it's alignment. When you align with truth, with your authentic self, with your soul's purpose, a certain kind of unshakable power emerges. Nobody gave you this power, you reclaimed it. Your voice has changed. When you speak now, people feel it in their bodies. There's weight to your words, authority. Not the kind that dominates, the kind that comes from someone who's walked through hell and emerged transformed, someone who's died 1,000 deaths and been reborn stronger, someone who knows who they are at the deepest level. People are being activated just by being in your presence. You're not trying to wake anyone up. You're not performing or convincing or proselytizing. You're simply being yourself fully. And that authenticity broadcasts a frequency that dormant souls recognize. It's like you're a tuning fork vibrating at the frequency of truth, and anyone ready to resonate with that truth starts vibrating too. Some people meet you and something in them immediately comes alive. Questions stopped asking suddenly resurface. Intuitions buried suddenly speak. Dreams abandoned suddenly seem possible again. You remind them of who they really are beneath all the conditioning. You reflect back their infinite nature, and that recognition initiates their own awakening process. This is your gift, your purpose, your assignment, your away shower, a bridge between the old world and what's emerging. You came here specifically for this time, this transition, this collective shift in consciousness. Your sensitivity wasn't weakness. Your depth wasn't disorder, your visions weren't delusions. These were your credentials for the role you're now stepping into. You're gathering your tribe now, soul family finding soul family, people who speak your language, people who see what you see, people who feel the call toward truth and freedom and consciousness. Together, you're forming something powerful. Networks of awakened beings who are literally shifting the energetic frequency of this planet. This isn't metaphor, this is physics. Consciousness affects reality, and conscious beings working together create exponential change. This is the moment everything changes, not gradually, not quietly, explosively. The tipping point has been reached. The pressure that's been building is now erupting, and you're at the center of a transformation that's going to reshape everything around you. Your power is no longer potential, it's kinetic, active, undeniable. You're manifesting things now that would have taken years before, opportunities appearing from nowhere, resources flowing to you effortlessly, people drawn to you magnetically, synchronicities so frequent becoming your new normal. This isn't luck, this is alignment, creating miracles. The vindication is complete now, not partial, not debatable, complete. Every single prediction you made has come to pass. Every warning you gave has proven accurate. Every pattern you identified has played out exactly as you described. The people who called you crazy are now living in the reality you told them was coming. And escape isn't possible. Denial isn't possible. Explaining it away isn't possible. You're speaking your truth now with zero apology. Setting boundaries that could cut steel. Following your intuition without second-guessing yourself into paralysis. Living authentically, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Especially when it makes others uncomfortable, because their comfort was never your responsibility. Their awakening is. The ones who called you crazy are experiencing a full-blown crisis now, because the cognitive dissonance has become unbearable. Unseen things cannot be seen again. Unknown things cannot be made unknown again. Every day brings more evidence that you were right. Every week validates another one of your predictions. The foundation of worldview is crumbling, and scrambling for solid ground is happening. Watch how scrambling to rewrite history is happening. Suddenly the memory exists of always kind of agreeing with you. Claims are made that you were never really thought to be crazy, just misunderstood. Attempts are being made to retroactively position as having been on your side all along, but you remember, you have the receipts, the messages, the conversations, the looks. You know exactly who stood with you and who stood against you. Some are coming to you now, tentatively, nervously, asking questions never thought would be asked, admitting things sworn would never be admitted. The pride is breaking, the armor is cracking, and underneath you see what you've always seen. Souls desperate to wake up but terrified of what waking up means. One by one approaching is happening, some with genuine humility, others still clinging to fragments of pride, unable to fully admit being wrong but unable to deny it either. Questions are asked about how you knew, what you saw that was missed, how you could be so certain when everyone else was so sure you were wrong, and you have to decide in each moment whether readiness exists for the real answer. You handle them with grace, not because it's deserved, because you remember being where they are. You remember the terror of having reality shattered. You remember the pain of realizing life in a prison has been the norm. So you extend compassion even to those who showed you none. This is power. This is mastery. This is what it looks like when someone has truly transformed. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation and attacks while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. But the real power move is what you're doing for those who are ready, the ones whose souls are screaming for truth. The ones who've been waiting their whole lives for someone to confirm what has always been felt. You're activating them now with precision and purpose. When you speak to them, you don't just share information, you unlock something, you trigger remembering. You activate DNA codes that have been dormant for lifetimes. Your words land in consciousness like keys in locks. Doors unknown to exist suddenly swing open. Worlds unseen become visible. You show them crazy isn't the diagnosis, that what has been felt is real, that sensitivity is strength, that depth is power, that visions are valid. You give permission to trust themselves in a world that's taught them to doubt everything authentic about themselves. And transformation happens before your eyes. You watch as people who were timid step into boldness, as people who were confused find clarity, as people who were powerless reclaim sovereignty. This is your gift in action. This is what you were born to do, not convince, activate, not teach, remember, not save, empower. You're building something now, a movement, a collective, a new paradigm. It's not happening in the mainstream yet. It's happening in living rooms and coffee shops and quiet conversations. It's spreading through networks of awakened beings who recognize each other instantly. It's growing exponentially because consciousness doesn't spread linearly, it spreads virally. The old world is dying. You can feel it thrashing, trying desperately to maintain control, doubling down on fear tactics and manipulation, getting more aggressive as grip is lost. But these are death throes. The new world is being born, and you're one of the midwives, one of the builders, one of the anchors bringing new frequencies into physical reality. You understand now why being crushed was necessary before rising could happen, why being silenced was required before speaking with real authority could occur, why walking through darkness was essential before holding this much light was possible. The pressure created the diamond, the fire forged the steel, the breaking created the breakthrough. Every attack on your credibility taught you to trust yourself absolutely. Every moment of isolation taught you that being alone is impossible when connected to Source. Every attempt to make you doubt taught you the difference between certainty and arrogance. You're not arrogant, you're certain, and that certainty is unshakable because it's earned. You're moving through the world differently now. Your energy precedes you. People feel you before you speak. Rooms shift when you enter. Conversations deepen when you're present. You're not trying to have an impact. Impact is the natural result of being fully yourself. The abundance flowing to you now is almost absurd. Money appearing from unexpected sources. Opportunities that seem too good to be true, but are absolutely real. Connections forming with exactly the right people at exactly the right time, health improving, energy increasing, joy becoming your baseline. This is what happens when fighting your nature stops and flowing with it begins. You're balancing both worlds now with masterful skill, logic and intuition working in perfect harmony, spiritual depth and practical effectiveness combined. You can discuss consciousness with mystics and build empires with business people. You bridge the gap. You prove that awakening doesn't mean abandoning the material world. It means mastering it from a higher level of consciousness. Your leadership is undeniable now. People naturally look to you for guidance, not because positioning yourself as a guru is happening, because you've done the work others want to do. You've walked the path others want to walk. You're living the life others want to live. You're proof that it's possible, and proof is more powerful than promises. The world you're creating is nothing like the one you were born into. This isn't improvement, this is revolution. A complete restructuring of reality based on truth instead of lies, consciousness instead of conditioning, love instead of fear, and waiting for permission to build it isn't happening. You're building it now. Every conversation you have plants seeds. Every boundary you set establishes new standards. Every person you activate multiplies your impact exponentially. You're not just living differently, you're creating templates for how awakened humans operate in the world. Others will follow these templates. The path you're carving will become a highway. Your vindication has given you something invaluable, credibility. When you speak now, listening happens differently, because a track record exists. You've been proven right when everyone said you were wrong. That history gives weight to current words. When warning about something happens now, attention is paid. When prediction happens, notes are taken. Your voice carries authority earned through being dismissed and then vindicated. This credibility is opening doors that were locked before. People who wouldn't give you the time of day are now asking for your perspective. Platforms that rejected you are now inviting you. Spaces that excluded you are now welcoming you. Not because you changed, because reality confirmed what you always were, a seer, a knower, someone connected to truth. The abundance around you isn't just material. You're rich in every dimension. Joy flows through you constantly. Peace is your baseline. Love radiates from you naturally. Purpose drives you effortlessly. Energy fills you endlessly. You're tapped into Source, and Source is infinite. This is what happens when trying to get stops and allowing yourself to receive begins. You're noticing patterns in how vindication unfolds. It's not random. There's an intelligence to it. The things being proven true are being revealed in exactly the order needed for maximum impact. First, the small things, the personal predictions, the relationship dynamics, those create credibility. Then the bigger things, the systemic corruption, the collective shifts, those create influence, and you're starting to understand that your accuracy wasn't just about being intuitive. You were being shown things. Information was being downloaded into your consciousness. You were receiving intelligence from beyond the veil, from your higher self, from Source, from collective consciousness. However understanding happens, the mechanism was real, and it still is. You're still receiving, still downloading, still knowing. This realization is profound, because it means being done, being right, isn't happening. The prophecies that have manifested were just the beginning. There's more coming, more truth to be revealed, more predictions to come true, more warnings to be validated. You're not a prophet who spoke once and then went silent. You're an ongoing channel of truth, and that truth keeps flowing. You're untouchable now, not because nothing can harm you, because you're rooted so deeply in truth that external circumstances can't shake you. Jobs can come and go, relationships can form and dissolve, money can flow and ebb. None of it defines you, none of it controls you. You're sovereign, complete in yourself, whole without needing anything external. This sovereignty is what was feared most. When their approval was needed, leverage existed. When their validation was sought, power was held. When you doubted yourself, control was possible. But now, you need nothing from them. You approve of yourself. You validate yourself. You trust yourself. Absolutely. Power over you is completely gone. And this sovereignty is contagious. People around you start claiming theirs. Refusal to be manipulated is watched, and realization happens that refusal is possible too. Boundaries being set without guilt is seen, and realization happens that this is possible too. Living authentically despite consequences is witnessed, and realization happens that this is possible too. Permission is being given simply by being. The warrior energy around you is palpable now, not aggressive, not violent, but absolutely unstoppable. You and the souls gathering with you have warrior spirits. You came here to fight, not against people, against lies, against limitation, against every false structure keeping humanity imprisoned. You're warriors of consciousness, soldiers of truth, agents of awakening. Many in your circle were already successful before full awakening, leaders in fields, influential in domains, but now as spiritual power comes online, unstoppable forces are created. Worldly skill combined with cosmic consciousness creates impact that reshapes industries, transforms systems, revolutionizes paradigms. This is what happens when heaven and earth fully integrate. You nurture these warriors, create safe space for emergence, show how to be powerful without being destructive, how to be fierce without being cruel, how to fight without becoming what is being fought against. This is advanced mastery. This is what leadership looks like at the highest levels. This was never about being right. This was about transformation. Yours, theirs, the collectives. The calling you crazy was necessary. It forced you to develop unshakable inner knowing. The dismissing your truth was required. It taught you to trust yourself over consensus. The mockery was essential. It forged you into someone who can't be broken by opinion. You can see the full picture now. The entire journey mapped out. Every attack was preparation. Every betrayal was initiation. Every moment of doubt was testing your certainty. Every person who called you crazy was actually calling forth your power. Diminishing you was the intention. Activating you was the result. The vindication you're experiencing now isn't the end. It's the beginning, because now you have something you didn't have before. Proof. Undeniable, verifiable, reality-confirmed proof that your vision is accurate, your intuition is reliable, your knowing is real. This proof is a weapon, not to attack with, to protect with, to establish with, to build with. When you speak now about what's coming next, listening happens, because the right to be heard has been earned. You called it before, you'll call it again. And smart people are starting to understand that ignoring you is ignoring reality. Dismissing you is dismissing truth. Calling you crazy is revealing blindness. You're grateful now for every attack, every betrayal, every moment of isolation, every attempt to silence you, because all of it together created the powerhouse standing here now. The attacks refined you, the betrayals taught you discernment, the isolation connected you to source, the silencing gave you a voice that can't be ignored. Think about the specific people who called you crazy. The ones who laughed hardest, the ones who spread the most doubt, the ones who worked hardest to discredit you. Look at them now. Some are quiet, hiding in corners, hoping you've forgotten. Others are trying to rewrite history, claiming they never really doubted you. A few have disappeared entirely, unable to face the mirror you hold up, but you're not focused on them. You're focused on the awakened ones, the ones who are ready to see what you see, the ones who are hungry for truth, the ones who recognize you as someone who can help navigate the chaos. These are your people, your tribe, your soul family, and gathering around you now in increasing numbers is happening. The people who called you crazy gave you the greatest gift possible. Who not to be was shown, what not to value was demonstrated, where not to seek approval was revealed. You were pushed so far into yourself that your infinite nature was discovered. Burying you was attempted. Your seed wasn't realized, and seeds grow best under pressure. Every person who dismissed your warnings and then watched them come true is now a walking testimony to your accuracy. Every relationship that imploded exactly as you predicted is evidence of your vision. Every system that collapsed when you said it would is proof of your connection to truth. Defending yourself isn't needed anymore. Reality defends you. And you're starting to understand something profound. The accuracy of your predictions isn't about predicting the future. It's about reading energy, understanding patterns, seeing cause and effect clearly. When you warned about that relationship, prophesying wasn't happening. You were reading the energetic signatures of dysfunction. When you predicted that system would collapse, fortune-telling wasn't happening. You were seeing structural weakness refuse to be acknowledged. This is why being done right isn't happening, because predicting isn't what you do. Perceiving is what you do, and what you're perceiving now is massive. Shifts happening in the collective, structures crumbling, illusions dissolving, consciousness rising. You see it all, and once again parts of it are being called crazy. Once again dismissal is happening. Once again being told you're too intense, too extreme, too much is happening. But this time you know better. This time understanding of the game exists. This time silencing yourself isn't happening. This time speaking anyway is happening. Because you've learned that being called crazy by the unconscious is confirmation you're seeing clearly. Dismissal is validation. Mockery is evidence you're over the target. The life you're living now is proof. Proof that awakening is real. Proof that transformation is possible. Proof that you can go from silence to sovereign, from doubted to trusted, from isolated to surrounded by soul family, from struggling to thriving. You're living evidence that everything you teach is true. You're creating new predictions now, new warnings, new visions of what's coming, and you're speaking them clearly, boldly, without apology. Some people are listening this time, learning from the last time, smart enough to pay attention when you speak. Others are dismissing you again, calling you crazy again, setting themselves up for another round of cognitive dissonance when what you're saying comes true, and you're at peace with both responses, because attachment to being believed doesn't exist. Commitment to speaking truth exists. Whether acceptance or rejection happens is their choice, their journey, their lesson to learn or refuse to learn. You're simply being the channel you were designed to be. The prophecy has come full circle. What began with you being silenced ends with you speaking truth that can't be denied. What started with you being called crazy concludes with reality proving your sanity. What commenced with you being isolated transforms into you surrounded by awakened souls. The circle completes. But it's not an ending, it's a spiral, and you're ascending. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you came here to do, and everyone who ever tried to stop you actually helped you become who you needed to be.